All right, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back. There's been a bit of a delay with me. I've had some serious build ADHD this league. But I'm here today about this. We're back on Raider for throwing traps around, but this time we're doing Explosive Trap instead of Lightning Trap. This is more explosions than like a Michael Bay movie, honestly, and it's so fun, and it really, this build and this character like kind of stuck with me recently just because I've just been having so much fun, just blowing everything up. So before I go into the specifics of it, I'll do what I've done previously, and we're gonna run a boss. We're just gonna run Katarina because I have one ready. I don't have like any other bosses ready to go. I really haven't done much bossing on this build in general as well, so this is kind of a bit of a test for me. And I'll go into the specifics of the build after we do this, but man, it's just so fun to do that. It's nearly impossible to see what's happening. But, oh man, is it just fun to just blow up an entire screen and be on your way. So there we go, follow Katarina already. Again, Katarina, not much of a test. Like, Katarina is a very easy boss. Like, to me, Katarina is like a Zaro almost as far as endgame. Like, super easy, super low tier boss, and it's not much of a test, but at the same time, she does occasionally just randomly kind of kill me. Like, that's essentially what happened here, especially because I am only level 91 right now, so I still have a few more levels to put into this character. Leveling stuff up in the background. I'm still putting some more levels into this character. I'm still doing some stuff in the background. So there's still a lot to come with this character. I'll probably try to get to level like 95 or usual 95. Maybe if I'm really feeling it, I'll hit 96. But we'll see. But overall, I also kind of wanted to show off Katarina because this is like, it gets to show off the build both sort of how a map goes with this character and then also how a boss goes. So as you can see with like a map, you just walk through everything pretty much. Like you walk around, you throw your traps. Since we're phasing permanently, we just kind of deal with everything like that. Katarina here, we just set up a ton of traps. The only problem is visibility. If you wanted to be able to see things, then boy oh boy is this not the character for that. But from a burst perspective and just like a fun perspective, this character is just so much fun. Alright, who's next? Chrysius. You're a thief, nothing more. I probably could turn up the volume a little bit more. I'm realizing right now that it sounds kind of quiet, but maybe that's just in my ears. We'll see what it's just instant phasing. It's so fun. It's so crazy how much this build gets to put out. Hold on, man. But yeah, obviously, if she does any kind of attack in that mess right there, I will not be able to see it. So that's something that could absolutely kill me, is just not being able to see. Visual clarity, never heard of it. But the character overall has been very smooth, very good as far, I mean, so far I think, you know, both times I've done a Raider trapping kind of build, it's been super successful and a ton of fun, so I'm glad to see that this character like really held up. You know, this has been like the smoothest Katarina I've done in a while, because every single time she does her phase, she sets herself down. And oh, she teleport right there, she was dead. Oh, I almost popped right there. Woo! Alright, very clean Katarina, very easy. And since I don't want the instants to go away, I'll probably be talking through most of the build here. Ew, the ball regalia, gross. That is pretty cringe, as we say in the business. But oh well. So with that, let's talk about the build. As I'm going through it, I'll probably grab some stuff out of here too, because why not, right? So while I'm kind of going through, I'll probably should be grabbing stuff out of here. So welcome. The explosions have been a ton of fun. One thing that is in this character that I don't think that is entirely necessary, and you can, and this is just right off the bat, it's not entirely necessary, and you can go different directions with it. You can go Tinkerskin instead, which is basically, this is using Diablo's Malefaction, is sort of the big thing for me. And the main reason was originally that I was stacking quality and I have a very well rolled Ashes of the Stars. Ashes of the Stars is actually really cheap this league. Let me look it up on the side real quick as I'm doing this. Yeah, they're down to 1.5 divines right now. Ashes of the Stars is worth like nothing right now. But so I bought one very cheap. I think I even bought mine for 2.5, and then I managed to hit a very lucky divine on this and hit the 30% quality on it, and so I immediately was like, oh, I have to do something with quality stacking. And I saw that Diala's is also very, very cheap this league. So I decided, and then I noticed as well that Explosive Trap, the quality on Explosive Trap of Shrapnel makes it so that it creates more smaller explosions. So if you stack a bunch of quality with it, which as I've been mapping and running around while I was leveling, I had it in a green socket. Whenever I want a boss, I swap it to a red socket. But as I'm mapping, I usually have it in a green. And that makes it throw out 17 smaller explosions. So that is why you're seeing so many explosions. Personally, I just think it's very fun to do this. It's not necessary. You could, if you really wanted to look for more damage, keeping it in a red socket all the time is more damage, because that's more levels. But that's if you went Diala's. You could go, if you wanted to be tankier, go with the Lightning Coil. If you wanted to just have a little bit more survivability, since we're using Slave Driver's Hand again, you could go Tinker Skin. That's just kind of personal preference. For me, I've just been having so much fun with Diala's, and it's so cheap this league. I absolutely was just like, I gotta do something with it. Like, I might as well have some fun with it while it is as cheap as it is. And then Ashes of the Stars, again, completely up to you. If you want to stack, and if you want to stack and have a ton of small explosions like that as well, then I think Ashes of the Stars is probably the best way to go. But if you want more damage and more plus levels, then a replica Dragon Fang with +3 levels of Explosive Trap will probably almost certainly be higher damage. Something else to note about Explosive Trap is the damage is very variable depending on the size of the enemy that you're fighting. And I am leveling up a concentrated effect to kind of lessen the area of effect, but deal more area damage. So that should kind of allow more pinpointing damage, but we'll see as I get this character kind of some more levels. But as it stands right now, the explosions and everything that you set out is very, very large. So if you have a very large target or a big pack of enemies, most of the explosions will hit him and it deals a ton of damage. But if a lot of the explosions miss, obviously you miss out on a good chunk of damage. But with that, let's just go over the links really quick. I'll talk about where I'm potentially going to be going with the links, and then we'll kind of talk about the gear directly from there. So in the weapon here, we just have Assassin's Mark, Ellie Weakness, and Arcanus Brand. That is because we are taking Whispers of Doom here, so we can have an additional curse. Arcanus Brand just to make things easy as far as applying things goes. Bing, bang, boom. I don't have anything in my helmet right now. This will be resolved in the future. I don't know quite what I'm going to put in here. I might just do a 4-link setup with Bear Trap and like Culling Strike, Increased Duration, something else. But yeah, that'll be resolved in the future. So nothing in the hat for now. And then off on my Scepter on the right here, this is just my cast and damage taken with Immortal Call in there and an Increased Duration support. Mortal Call is potentially the best, but Steel Skin might also potentially be better. I'm actually not 100% certain on this one. It's always guard skills to me are always such a weird one because I feel like I so rarely use them. What's the duration right now? 1.63 seconds. It might not be worth it. Steel Skin might very well be better. But regardless, just cast some damage taken. For the main 6-link with Diala's, and remember, the way Diala's works, you can socket any gem into any color, doesn't matter. So I managed to hit a 5 red and 1 green, which I thought was great, because then I just had everything with +2 levels, except for Explosive Trap, and I would just have Explosive Trap in the quality. And then as I started bossing, I'll swap it over, and I put Swift Assembly over here, just because Swift Assembly gives more increased mine throwing speed. Not bad on the quality. But otherwise, we have an Empower in here, because believe it or not, having +2 levels on a level 3 Empower, very good. If you can hit a level 4 Empower, beautiful. That's even more. But we have Empower support, Awaken added fire damage. This is because it is not a full conversion, and more Fizz as extra is always very good on this build. And the +1 level of Fizz skill gems. This is a physical skill gem, so perfect from that. Trap and mine damage support, of course, is just a staple in any trap or mine damage build. Charge traps, this can probably be changed. This is where I will probably be making some changes. This is very good early on while you're leveling, but I think it's at the point right now where I don't actually need charged traps. I feel like slave drivers kind of give you more than enough chance to gain charges, and so charge trap is kind of irrelevant, and this can instead be replaced with a increased critical damage support, which is what I'm working on the side. So this will probably be replaced, but again, it's good if you don't feel like slave drivers are consistent enough, then charge traps is great. And the damage, realistically, it's not that much more to go with crit multi, but it's more, and so therefore do as you please with that. And the last one, like I was saying, is swift assembly. This is just so that you have a chance to throw more traps and get more explosions going, and then the quality gives you more throwing speed, which slave drivers reduces your speed, so not a bad thing to have. Again, I'm probably going to replace this as well, maybe just for bossing. I might do a bit of a gem swap with the boss and have a and that's probably where I'll put concentrated effect. So but that's still more to come. I'm still kind of figuring that out right now, but as of right now, that is what the setup is. Empower, Awaken Added Fire, Trap of Mine, Charge Traps, Swift Assembly, all attached to Explosive Trap of Shrapnel. Down here we just have in our gloves Vitality. That's just simply because Vitality good, and also our trap throwing costs us life instead, so we need to have some form of life regen. You can get this in the form of just life regen generically on items, or just by using Vitality, whatever is most comfortable to you. I just like running Vitality. It's a cozy gem. It feels good. I'm just going to use Vitality for the most part. And then we have Bear Trap. Like I was saying, I'll probably be putting Bear Trap up here for a 4 link. Give it some extra flavor as a support item, but overall Bear Trap itself is good because it makes them take increased damage from trap or mine hits. Believe it or not, we're throwing a lot of them. And then the other thing is just Flame Dash, you know, usual movement skill. Aura-wise, though, we have Skitterbots, of course. Skitterbots are always good. Grace good. We have an Enlightened support attached here, and then Hatred. Hatred is because more Fizz as extra cold, and since we're not converting everything, and in fact we are converting the rest of our Fizz damage to cold damage, that makes Hatred fantastic for this build. And then Flask-wise, we just have good old Life Flask, Diamond Flask, Quicksilver, Jade, and Taste of Hate. Taste of Hate, again, more Fizz as extra cold damage. More damage equals good. Also, the added effect of Fizz damage taken is cold during effect. Very nice as well. Makes you a little bit tankier against targets that are dealing cold damage to you. And with that, we'll just kind of roll right into items, and then I'll start talking about the tree after that, and sort of where to go as far as leveling goes. But yeah, so we're starting with an alternating scepter. This is the first scepter. It has Secrets of Suffering on it. Secrets of Suffering makes it so that you can't apply Shock, Chill, or Ignite, and instead you apply... Actually, does it show? Yeah, you can't inflict Shock, Chill, or Ignite, and instead we apply Scorch, Brittle, and Sapped. And so scorched enemies take it lowers their Ellie resists, and brittle enemies we have increased critical strike chance against brittle enemies. Sapped enemies, that doesn't matter very much, and we actually aren't sapping unless you get added lightning damage to your spells. I don't have any source of added lightning damage right now, so I'm not sapping enemies at all. It's good in the sense of it gives us some more survivability, but it's not very necessary, and I would say don't push very hard to get that. But the item itself, as far as the roll on this thing goes, it's not terrific. This ideally will be a +1 Fizz spell, Fizz or Fire. Ideally, this would be a +1 Fizz or Fire spell skill gems, and then some other added spell damage and some cast speed. This was just a decent roll that it happened to hit because it has increased cast speed, it has increased fire damage, and it has a decent spell damage roll. Literally just spam Essence of Woe on it until it hits +1 is probably the best way to go about it. I'll be doing that in the future, but for now, this holds it over. Other scepter-wise, this one is a Fractured +1 all Fizz spell skill gems. And then again, I just slammed some more Woe Essence on it until it hits something decent. Fortunately, 69% increased spell damage though, nice. But the other rolls on it aren't really anything to write home about, just increased fire damage and more increased attack speed. It's decent for what it is, but could it be better? Absolutely. Helmet-wise, this thing sucks. I will not even defend this thing, but I really need the strength, so I will be re-rolling this thing in the future. It's not good. The only thing that's good is the implicits, because added fizz damage to spells doesn't matter that much, but it's more damage. But the mana reservation efficiency of skills is good. Ideally, I'll be spamming this with some more strength essence probably until it hits a better roll. Ideally, some actual life, some better resists, all that kind of good stuff. That's helmet. Like I was saying, we have Ashes of the Stars and Y'all's Malefaction here for our primary items, and our gloves we also have Slave Drivers. Reduces our trap throwing speed, but it makes increased reductions to cast speed apply to trap throwing speed, so we more than make up for the reduction. And then we also generate charges based on that, and our traps cost life. All very good things for us, actually. And then ring-wise, this ring, again, not fantastic, but I think I needed the intelligence or something at the time. I actually don't think I need the intelligence. Okay? I don't. So yeah, this thing will be swapped out. Again, the increased cast speed is pretty much the only thing that's good here. Otherwise, the rest of this ring pretty much sucks. So ignore this ring, pretend it doesn't exist. This will be replaced. This ring, on the other hand, is also pretty mediocre. Never mind. Forget I'm saying anything. I think this just had some reasonable resistances on it that I needed, and sort of continues to be that way. But again, we'll probably be upgraded in the future. So both my rings, not fantastic. These will probably be changed to amethyst rings, hopefully with cast speed and then resistances on it, is more than likely the plan for both of those rings. Gloves are locked in. Belt, once again, not anything spectacular. Again, this character is only level 91, so still a lot of gearing, a lot of stuff to go on here. We just have a Stygian here, though. Just has some life, has strength, crafted some resistances. Has a good life regen roll on it, though, which is nice. The Hypnotic Eye Jewel in here also ain't great, but what's that, tier 3? Yeah, so again, it just had resistances, it had evasion, and some more added damage. It's whatever, but that will also be replaced in the future. Boot-wise, these things are okay. They're fine. They do what they need to. They have a obviously really good chaos roll on them, and cold and fire res was much needed for me. Crafted move speed is fine, as much as I'd love to have 30 move speed. It doesn't matter that much. I move so fast anyway with effective haste, or effective onslaught, and being a raider. But then implicit-wise, we have fizz damage as extra cold damage. Again, always more good to have more fizz as extra. And then increased effective onslaught because we have Perma Onslaught. So that's all of the items. So again, remember, the base of this is good. Item itself could be swapped around and be a lot stronger. This is decent. This is crap. And the only thing that you should pay attention to with this is the increased mana reservation efficiency, and whatever node you need as far as stats and all that good stuff. The rings are dog shit. Don't even bother with them. If you looked up what the cost of these rings was on the trade website, it'd probably be 2C. So don't bother with these. These will be replaced. And then same with the belt. Belt's not anything spectacular. Boot-wise, pretty decent. Try to get yourself some move speed boots with some chaos res, some life, all that kind of good stuff. Yeah, and as for that, let's roll into the passive tree here. So passive tree-wise, here we are. We're actually going down towards the bottom route this way, and it's because we really want Winter Spirit, and we want to take 40% damage converted to cold damage. Again, Explosive Trap only converts 50% of the damage, so converting the other half to cold damage is good, as that also applies brittle for us with our Secrets of Suffering. So then we're applying both Scorch and Brittle very consistently, so that's what we're taking here, going down this way. I would say, as far as starting with the character, as far as leveling goes, I'll just very quickly kind of ignore everything else and go more in depth for a second. As far as leveling goes, still start from the bottom, come around, take Herbalism, go all the way up, and I would suggest literally just racing all the way up to get high explosives and unstable munitions. That is where a lot of your damage will really kind of start to come from. So just make your way, race all the way up there, take those nodes, can have 5 additional traps placed at a time node, and then probably just make your way up and take Doomcast, and you could probably pause there unless you really wanted to go up the 1 extra node to take Whispers and Influence here. But other than that, once you're kind of up that far, then start kind of going back through and piecing together some more of the build, where you come over here, probably take Revenge of the Hunted and Charisma, because by that point you'll have some auras and we'll be wanting to slot it, and you'll want to slot some stuff in. So probably come over here and take Charisma, then Innervate. always say innervate, but it's inveterate, and so that's just me misspeaking. Take Blood Drinker, take Life whenever you feel like you need it. Written in Blood and Instinct. If you happen to roll pieces of gear as well, though, that have spell suppression on them naturally, then you can drop Instinct in this wheel and potentially these 2 points here if you don't care enough. If you want to take a little bit less life, you can remove these points here and instead put them more towards a cluster jewel. But that's up to you. Anyway, back onto the tree over here. So we have our Brutal Restraint here set up. And this actually hits some pretty decent things. It's mostly increased crit. That doesn't matter because poison. Here we go. Some more Fizz is extra cold damage here. That's good. Alchemist Genius when you use a flask is good. Increased elemental damage is good. I think there were much better options, but they were insanely expensive, and I was not willing to spend the amount that you would have needed to spend on that. So there are much better options for the Brutal Restraint. You can get ones that have more Fizz as cold. And yeah. But that is for you to discover, I will say. I do not have those memorized off the top of my head, but crit and Fizz added, and Alchemist Genius are all good notes to look for. Cluster jewel wise here, we're using physical damage clusters, because again, increasing our physical damage more, so that then it gets converted and deals more things is actually very, very good for this build, and also more Fizz as extra is always great. So we have Battle Hardened here, Iron Breaker, Fizz damage reduction, and increased Fizz damage. And then Furious Assault here for mostly for the cast speed and then more Fizz damage. Medium cluster-wise, Arcane Pyrotechnics is good. We want Arcane Surge and Trap damage. Surprise Sabo on this one is okay. You do want Surprise Sabo. It's a very good node, but realistically, Guerrilla Tactics is probably a little bit better. You probably want Arcane and Guerrilla Tactics here instead. Up here at this cluster, same thing. Battle Hardened, Iron Breaker, Force Multiplier instead for chance to deal double damage. And then the small one here, we have Guerrilla Tactics and Surprise Sabo. Again, crit multi good, damage penetrating good. And Guerrilla Tactics, the trap throwing speed, trap damage, and move speed, all fantastic from it. But yeah, otherwise... Oh, and then the last thing is this Thread of Hope. I used this on the Lightning Trap Raider. Thread of Hope, still very good. Large spot, lets you hit a bunch of different nodes here. It gives you Blood Siphon, gives you Saboteur, gives you Assassination. You can choose if you want to take Clever Construction or not. I personally like Clever Construction. More explosions per explosion. Who doesn't love that, right? And then we come down here and we take Mark the Prey, just for more increased damage against our marked targets. If you want to, you can take Careful Conservationist here. Also, decent node, can't go wrong with that. That is entirely up to you, but yeah, it's a very good ring for this build, so I would suggest grabbing yourself a large one. This is by far one of the most expensive pieces of the build, actually. This costs like 4.5 or 5 divines, so watch out for that. I would say probably get this last. Don't worry too much about it if you can't afford to get it. Worry about getting some of the cluster jewels and setting yourself up in other ways otherwise. The next few levels with this character we'll probably be doing is probably taking this medium jewel slot here or this one here, and we'll be putting another medium jewel slot in. It'll probably be the same as this one, Surprise Sabo and Guerrilla Tactics. We'll see, but that's most likely what it's going to be. Like I said, replace some of the gear, try out some of these concentrated effect, increase crit damage, see how that feels. And yeah, I sort of think that's the big thing. Oh, as far as anybody who's curious about the Lightning Trap Raider and if Lightning Trap feels good still, I can confirm. I leveled with it for a little while. Lightning Trap itself actually does feel very good still with this build and in this league. And you can use... Pardon me while I full deviate here. Lightning... Stormbrand... Man, where is it? Lightning Spire Trap is zapping. Actually, it was something else I wanted to bring up. Ah, there he is. So... these two here. Lightning Spire Trap with zapping is also actually surprisingly very good. I leveled with this for a while, and it works surprisingly well and does a lot of damage. It's more so just a matter of if you want to do it. But it is a pretty cool one. Just make it, they strike in a couple areas, they do a bunch of damage, and they go on their merry way. It's a very solid build. And Lightning Trap itself, as far as it being able to bounce off the walls and everything, is actually very cool. They will collide pretty often and bounce back. They will chain pretty often with the with the terrain. Great, sorry, I can't speak. They'll collide pretty often with the terrain and then bounce back and like go towards enemies. So again, very fun to run with this build. You'd want to change the tree up. Obviously, I have a lot of Fizz's extra, so this is not the tree for this, but I did want to bring it up anyway because I did last league make a raider based on lightning trap, so I just wanted to quickly throw in that this works very well, and it's still a very similar tree. It's just different in the cluster jewels, and that you wouldn't take Winter Spirit if you had this. But overall, though, I hope you enjoyed. I hope that this build seems exciting, and we'll see what it comes. We'll see how it goes in the next couple levels here. I'll try to get it to 95 and then make a follow-up video, and replace a bunch of the pieces of armor and my weapon. So, otherwise, YouTube, I hope you enjoy. I hope you've been having a great time with Affliction. I've been having serious build ADHD because there's just so much cool stuff to check out and see and play and enjoy. So, as per usual, the POB, all that good stuff will be down below. Let me know if you have any questions. I try to answer as soon as I can. Sometimes I forget, but for the most part, I try to answer whatever questions I can. And yeah, like I said as well, this character is still a work in progress. We still have a lot to build. We still have a lot to see. But it is a very fun time. YouTube, take it easy. Bye now.